I recently faced a father's worst nightmare. The HOA president's son brought 2 fake enforcers to pry at my back gate for pool access, and his excuse, he called it a routine inspection. Funny thing is, the only thing enforced that night was his face on wet concrete after he wiped out on my deck. But let me start from the beginning. 2:17 a.m., 2 men in black vests hop my fence. Minutes later, a third appears. The HOA president's son, red swim trunks, towel over his shoulder. They yank my gate. Earlier, there were 14 wrong codes and a tamper alert. My smart lock holds, small, steady smile. Calm looks better on camera. A vest grabs my arm. I pull free. The kid's shoulder bumps me, slips on the wet deck, scrapes his elbow, and calls 911 on me while standing on my property. Sirens grow. I don't argue. I open the app and mark the clip. The problem started not with a broken rule, but with a social ladder. The ladder at Northwood High is run by a boy named Chad Brown. He is the captain of the swim team, drives a car that costs more than my first house, and has a smile that is all teeth and no warmth. His mother is Karen Brown, the president of our homeowners association. She runs the HOA with the same iron-fisted image-obsessed perfectionism she applies to her prize-winning roses. Everything in its place, everything looking perfect for the monthly community newsletter. Chad decided the community pool needed to be his private after-hours clubhouse, a place to cement his status. He just needed a key, or in this case, a code. The shortest route was through my backyard. The weakest link, he thought, was my son. It started subtly. Marcus came home one afternoon, his shoulders slumped. He dropped his backpack by the door with a thud that echoed through the quiet house. I was in the kitchen trimming the leaves on a basil plant. The scent of anise and pepper filled the air. I looked at him. His face was a closed book, but I have learned to read the margins, the slight furrow in his brow, the way he avoided my eyes. "Everything okay, son?" I asked. He shrugged. The universal teenage symbol for everything is wrong, but I do not want to talk about it. I point at the basil plant house policy. We don't negotiate with photoshoppers. He almost smiles, but I did not push. I have learned that with him, you let the problem come to you. You create a safe harbor, and eventually the ship will dock. Later that night, I heard his phone buzzing again and again. It was a rhythmic, insistent vibration from his room, a swarm of digital hornets. I waited. Around 10, he came downstairs. He stood in the doorway of my office, a silhouette against the hall light. He was holding his phone like it was a venomous snake. "Dad," he said, his voice small, "can I show you something?" He handed me the phone. It was a string of direct messages from Chad. "Yo, Thompson, heard you got the hookup for the pool." Marcus's reply was polite, non-committal. "My dad just put a new lock on our gate." Chad's messages grew more demanding. "Be a real one. Slide the code. Don't be a loser. Everyone's going to be there Saturday night." Marcus kept deflecting. "I can't. My dad would kill me. It's not my call." Then came the group chat screenshots. Chad had posted their private conversation for his friends. The mockery began. "Thompson's scared of his daddy. What a dork." Then came the meme. It was a picture of a little kid hiding behind his mother's legs. My son's face had been poorly photoshopped onto the kid. Chad's face was on the mom. The caption read, "Don't worry, Marcus. Mommy will protect you from the cool kids." It was cruel. It was juvenile. And it was designed to do one thing: break my son's spirit. I looked up from the phone. Marcus was watching my face, his expression a mixture of shame and fear. He was waiting for me to be angry, to yell, to lecture. I took a slow breath. I am an engineer. I do not react. I analyze. I see a system under stress. My son is the system. The external pressure is Chad. The desired outcome is a security breach. My job is to reinforce the system. I handed the phone back to him. "This is not about you, Marcus," I said, my voice even. "This is about him. He wants something he cannot have. He thinks bullying is the key that opens all doors." I stood up and walked over to him. I put my hand on his shoulder. It was tense, a coiled spring. "You did the right thing. You said no. That is the only response he needs to hear." He finally met my eyes. I saw relief wash over him. "What if he keeps going?" he asked. "He will," I said. "People like that do not give up easily, but we will handle it together." I thought about my best friend Dave, who always told me that being a parent was 90% just showing up and standing firm. Right now, I was standing firm. I sent a calm, polite email to Assistant Principal Cruz at the school, attaching the screenshots, not to demand punishment, but to create a record, a data point. Engineers love data. It is clean. It is irrefutable. I told Marcus to block Chad. He did. The buzzing stopped. For a moment, the house was quiet again. But I knew this was just the first move in a game I did not want to play. And I had a sinking feeling that the next move would not be on a phone screen. It would be at my back gate. The next day, Marcus stops by Cruz's office. The hall buzzes. Lockers slam. "Sir," Marcus says, "I blocked Chad. He made a meme." Cruz leans forward, calm eyes. "You did the right thing." He taps the desk. "Screenshots?" Marcus nods. He shows the phone. Cruz reads. His jaw shifts. "I'll log this quietly. If he comes at you in person, walk away. Find me or go to Coach Hall. At lunch, Chad bumps shoulders. Pool code. Marcus. Don't be weird. His crew laughs. Marcus steps back. No. Chad smiles like a shark. Then I'll host without you. He posts a new story, a photo of the pool lights and a cartoon crown. King of Oak Creek. Marcus texts me one line. He's pushing again. I reply, copy. We stand firm. A teacher hears the whisper. Brown? Enough. Seconds later, Assistant Principal Cruz steps into the doorway and says nothing. From inside a locker, a muffled voice. Also, can someone let me out? The hall pretends not to hear. Chad raises both hands like a joke, just planning a party. Coach Hall finds Marcus by the trophy case. Walk with me. They pass photos of past teams, swim caps, smiles. Brown's a captain, Coach says. But being captain means being decent. Marcus nods. He wants our pool code. Coach stops. He won't get it from you. If he pushes, you tell me. If he posts, you send it to Cruz and me. Clear. A swimmer jogs by. Here's Brown, and groans. Coach, he tried to sell VIP after-hours wristbands in a group chat. Coach rubs his face. I'll handle it. He looks at Marcus. You did right. Head up. At the exit, Chad leans on a locker. Crew behind him. Hey Marcus, captain's list drops tonight. You want on it? Marcus keeps moving. No list. Chad smirks. Then, no invites. Coach steps between them. Voice low. Practice now. Chad's jaw tightens. Yes, Coach. Marcus texts me. Coach is in. The evening air is thick with the smell of cut grass and chlorine. I am standing by my back gate, running a diagnostic on the smart lock. The LED glows a satisfying green. Everything is nominal. The magnetic seal is rated at 12,200 pounds of holding force. The keypad is responsive. The log is clean. Inside latch opens without a code to meet egress rules. It is a good system, a solid system. My system. I designed the housing myself and 3D printed it. It is seamless, weatherproof, a small point of pride. A voice cuts through the twilight. Quite the fortress you are building there, Henry. First turn, it is Karen Brown. She is standing on the community path just beyond my fence line. She is dressed in crisp white linen pants and a silk blouse. Not a hair is out of place. Her smile is bright, practiced, and utterly devoid of warmth. It is a smile designed for campaign posters and community newsletters, not for genuine human interaction. With her is Chad. He looms behind her, arms crossed, a smirk plastered on his face. He looks from the lock to me, then back, his eyes full of smug contempt. He thinks he is one. He thinks his mother is his ultimate weapon. Chad stands in solid red swim trunks, a bright towel over his shoulder. I'm in a t-shirt and shorts, a small polite smile that says, not today. Karen hangs back, shoes never touching gravel. Quite the lock, she says. It's safe, I say. Chad snorts. It's ugly. From the side yard, neighbor Joey waves a trowel. He's in socks. One plaid, one plain. Looks fine to me, he says. Better than my brother-in-law's haircut. Karen's eyes flick to Joey, then back to the keypad. Our standards matter, Henry, so do my kids, I say. Chad points at the fence cap. Easy step over. I nod to the camera dome. I wouldn't. Karen's smile freezes. Let's keep this civil. It already is. I say civil, and recorded. This gate sits on my property line. The path beyond is the community pool. Karen, I say, my voice level. I give a slight nod, just making sure everything is secure. She steps closer, her eyes scanning the lock with a critical gaze, as if it is a weed in her perfect garden. It looks rather industrial, does it not? A bit unwelcoming for a community like Oak Creek. Her tone is light, conversational, but the words are laced with steel. It is a classic Karen Brown maneuver. She frames her criticism as a matter of aesthetic taste, of community standards, making me the one who is out of line. It is functional, I reply. It keeps my son and his friends safe. It is what matters to me. Chad scoffs quietly behind her, a little puff of arrogant air. I ignore him. My focus is on her. She is the source code of this problem. Of course, safety is paramount, she says, the words sliding out smoothly. That is why the HOA has rules about alterations to property lines, fences, gates. It all has to be uniform. It preserves the look and feel of our neighborhood. It protects our property values. She pauses, letting the implied threat hang in the air. This is not about property values. This is about control. My lock is a statement that my property line is in fact a line, a boundary she cannot cross at will, and she does not like boundaries she does not set herself. This lock is on my side of the fence. Karen, I say calmly. It does not alter the fence's appearance from the community path. It is fully compliant with the bylaws. Section 7, Paragraph 3. I know the bylaws. I read them before I installed anything. I am methodical. I do my research. Her smile tightens by a millimeter. She is not used to being contradicted with facts. She prefers vague pronouncements and appeals to a nebulous community spirit. Well, she says, pivoting, I am glad you are so security conscious. In fact, my committee and I were just discussing the need for a community-wide safety check, making sure all pool-adjacent gates are up to code. We might have our people come by and inspect them. Her people. The phrase is so deliberately vague, so ominous. It is not a request, it is a warning. Chad's smirk widens. He knows exactly what she means. They are going to inspect my lock until it breaks. That will not be necessary, I say, my voice firm now. This gate is my property. It is secure. You do not need to inspect it. I stare directly at her. I do not raise my voice. I do not need to. My resolve is its own volume. For a moment, we are locked in a silent battle of wills across the fence. I am defending my small square of the world. She is trying to conquer it. I see Mrs. Lawson, my quiet neighbor to the left, peeking through her blinds. She sees it too. Another data point, another witness. Karen finally breaks eye contact, her smile returning, this time even more strained. Of course, Henry, I am just trying to be helpful. She turns to leave. A picture of grace and condescension. We all have to follow the rules, after all. Some are for safety, and some are just for convenience. She glances back at Chad, then at the pool, a silent message passing between them. He winks. It is a gross theatrical gesture. They walk away, their silhouettes shrinking into the dusk. I stand there for a long time, listening to the hum of the pool filter and the chirping of crickets. The green light on my lock blinks steadily, a small digital heartbeat in the growing darkness. She called it a fortress. Maybe she is right. And I know with the certainty of a well-calculated equation that tonight, the fortress is going to be tested. She has promised an inspection, and I have no doubt her people are on their way. It is 2:13 a.m. The house is silent except for the low hum of the refrigerator. I am not asleep. I am in my office sitting in the dark, watching a live feed from my security cameras on a dedicated monitor. An engineer does not hope for the best. He prepares for the worst. My system is simple but effective. One camera is trained on the back gate. Another covers the pool deck area. A separate app locks the side gate, opens to the street for emergencies. They are motion activated and have night vision. A notification quietly pinged my phone 8 minutes ago. Motion detected at the fence line. I did not need the alert. I was already watching. I saw them approach. Two figures dressed in dark clothing. They move with a fluid, practiced ease that is unsettling. They are not teenagers out for a thrill. They are professionals, or at least they are trying to look like it. They both wear black tactical vests with a patch on the front. In the grainy green-tinted night vision, I can just make out the lettering HOA-COMPLIANCE. It is absurd. They look like cheap iron ants, not credentials. It is a theatrical costume designed to intimidate and create a thin veneer of legitimacy. I count my breaths. Slow, even. I submit a note through the city's non-emergency portal. Trespass likely at back gate. Cameras live. I keep 911 ready. The vests whisper. The big one says, try common codes. Already did. The lean one says, tapping 001234. The app logs each miss. 14 fails. Tamper alert. A stray cat hops the fence, lands on a lawn chair, and blinks at the camera like a judge. The lean one flinches, the cat yawns and leaves. Faceplate next. Big one says he lifts a pry bar. Bad idea, I whisper to myself. He pries. The housing holds. He grunts. Boost me. The lean one says. He climbs, drops inside. Big one follows. A third shape moves at the hedge. Chad. Red trunks. Phone glow. I update the portal note. Third subject joined. I stand, I breathe. Time to move. They want the hard way. Damage first. Questions never. They move to the side. One of them produces a small powerful flashlight playing the beam over the fence, the post, and the lock housing. The other one whispers into a radio clipped to his vest. Their cadence turns staccato. All signal. No filler. They are treating my backyard gate like the entry point to a hostile compound. I zoom in on their faces. They are young, maybe late 20s, hard-faced. This is not their first late-night inspection. They spend a few minutes examining the fence. One of them gives it a hard shake. It holds. It is well built. I built it. Then they move back to the gate itself. One produces a thin piece of metal, a pry bar. He tries to wedge it between the gate and the post right where the magnetic lock is seated. I feel a flash of anger. He is trying to damage my property to brute force his way in. The log on my app pops up with a new entry. Access denied. Keypad, tamper alert. They have tried to remove the faceplate. A quiet alarm, audible only to me, begins to chime on my phone. The system is working perfectly. It is telling me exactly what is happening moment by moment. The man with the pry bar grunts in frustration. The lock holds. The housing I designed is protecting the sensitive electronics within. He gives up and moves to the keypad. He starts trying codes. 12340000111. Each failed attempt is another entry in my log. A beautiful, clean, undeniable stream of data. Proof of their intent. They are not just trying to get in. They are testing my defenses, probing for a weakness. This is a systematic breach attempt. I need to understand the full scope of her audacity. The two men step back, conferring in low tones. One of them points up toward the roofline of my house. He has spotted the camera. He says something to his partner, who then looks directly into the lens and gives it a contemptuous wave. They are not afraid of being seen. That is the most chilling part. They believe they have the authority to be here. They believe the vest and the lie are all the protection they need. The first man gives the gate a final angry kick. It shudders but does not yield. Then, with a sigh of theatrical frustration, he crouches down and gives his partner a boost. The second man swings a leg over the top of the fence. He lands silently on the grass of my lawn. He is inside. His partner follows a second later. They are now officially trespassing. They stand there for a moment, two dark shapes in the green glow of the night vision, and begin walking toward my pool deck, toward my house. And I think enough is enough. I am done watching. I am done collecting data. An engineer knows when it is time to move from observation to intervention. I get up from my chair. The floorboards do not make a sound. I walk to the back door, my hand closing around the cold metal handle. I am not afraid. I am a father. I am in my home, and I'm about to conduct an inspection of my own. The sliding glass door to my deck makes a soft worry sound as I open it. The two men in the vests spin around, startled. They were so focused on the gate, so confident in their stealth, they did not consider the possibility of me simply walking out to meet them. They are standing near the edge of the pool, their boots leaving damp prints on the concrete deck. The air is cool and smells of wet stone and jasmine from the vine growing along the fence. For a second, no one moves. It is a tableau. The two hired muscles caught in the act, and me, a retired engineer in a t-shirt and slippers standing in my own backyard. My porch light clicks on, flooding the scene in a warm yellow light. My slippers squeak, so much for stealth. They squint, momentarily blinded. I can see their faces clearly now. One is broad and fleshy with a shaved head. The other is leaner with nervous, darting eyes. The HOA compliance patches on their chests look even more ridiculous up close. "Can I help you, gentlemen?" I ask. My voice is calm, steady. It does not betray the hammering in my chest. This is a calculated risk. I need to engage them. I need to see what they will do. The broad-shouldered one takes a step forward. He puffs out his chest, trying to use his size to intimidate me. It is a classic bully tactic. "We are with the Homeowners Association," he says, his voice a low rumble, "performing a mandatory safety inspection." "At 2:30 a.m., I ask, raising an eyebrow. "It says here." I glance at my phone. "You have been trying to pry open my gate for the last 15 minutes. That is not an inspection. That is attempted breaking and entering." The leaner one shifts his weight, looking uneasy. The broad one does not flinch. We had reason to believe the gate was not secure. We were testing its integrity. The lie is so brazen, so utterly without shame, it is almost impressive. "My gate is secure," I say. "You, on the other hand, are trespassing. I would like you to leave now, the way you came." I gesture with my head toward the fence they just hopped. Just then, a third figure emerges from the shadows near the side of the house. It is Chad Brown. He slipped in from the side hedge while they worked the fence. Quiet, smug, phone lit. He has a triumphant, sneering look on his face. "What is the matter, Mr. Thompson?" he says, his voice dripping with adolescent sarcasm. "Afraid of a little safety check." He is enjoying this. He thinks he is the star of his own movie. This is the moment I see it all clearly. The men are the muscle, but he is the reason they are here. This is his personal revenge for being told no. "Chad, your mother is making a very big mistake," I say, keeping my eyes on him. The broad-shouldered man decides he has had enough talk. He lunges forward and grabs my left arm. His grip is like a vice. "You need to come with us," he grunts. "We need to check your interior pool access points. No badge, no order, just a script." Adrenaline surges through me, hot and sharp. I am not a fighter. I am a thinker. But a father's protective instinct is a powerful primal thing. I wrench my arm back, twisting out of his grasp. It happens fast. I pull free, stepping back. Chad, seeing his hired help fail, decides to get involved. He shoulder bumps me hard. It is a clumsy, reckless move. He's trying to shove me toward the house to assert his dominance, but he forgets one crucial detail. The pool deck is still damp from the evening dew. His expensive sneakers slip on the wet concrete. He windmills his arms, trying to catch his balance. A look of comical surprise on his face. He goes down, not hard, but awkwardly. He lands on his side, scraping his elbow on the rough surface of the deck. For a silent moment, he just lies there, stunned. Then he looks at his elbow. A small bead of blood wells up. His face twists, not in pain, but in rage and humiliation. He pulls out his phone. His thumb flies across the screen. He puts it to his ear. "Help! 911. I have been attacked." He yells, his voice shrill and theatrical. "My neighbor Henry Thompson. He pushed me. I am bleeding. Send help." He put an illegal lock on the pool gate. It's blocking emergency access. I just stand there watching this absurd performance. The two men in vests look at each other, a flicker of panic in their eyes. This has escalated beyond their pay grade. I take a slow, deliberate step back toward my door. I do not run. I do not yell. I simply watch as the lie unfolds. In the distance, I hear the first faint wail of a siren. It is growing closer. The night is no longer quiet, and the game has just changed completely. The flashing red and blue lights paint my backyard in strobing, chaotic colors. 2 police cars are parked on the street. Sergeant Daniels and Officer Tate walk through the side gate, which I have remotely unlocked for them. Sergeant Daniels is a man my age. His face is etched with the long, tired lines of someone who has seen it all. He moves with a deliberate, unhurried pace. Officer Tate is younger, his movements sharp, his eyes taking in every detail. He has his hand resting near his sidearm, a cop's ingrained habit. Tate looks from my squeaky slippers to their patches, like he's grading Halloween costumes. Chad is putting on a masterclass performance for them. He is sitting on the edge of a lounge chair, clutching his scraped elbow, as if it is a mortal wound. Karen Brown is here now, of course. She must have flown over on her broomstick. She is fluttering around her son, her face a mask of practiced maternal concern. A small crowd of neighbors has gathered on the street. Drawn by the commotion, I can see Mr. Goldstein, my gardener friend, watching from his porch, his expression worried. Neighbor Joey is there, too, in a bathrobe, looking utterly bewildered. He attacked my son, Karen declares, pointing a perfectly manicured finger at me, unprovoked. My Chad was just walking by, and this man assaulted him. Her voice is pitched for maximum drama. She is playing to the audience of neighbors. Officer Tate looks at me. I am standing calmly by my back door. Sir, Tate says, any emergency egress blocked by this lock? No, I say, inside latch lets you exit without a code. City Code controls life safety, Section 1008, free egress. I followed it. HOA can't override that. Karen jumps in. He's turning our pool into a prison. I hold up the app. It's a door with a log. Joey shuffles closer in a bathrobe and whispers to Mr. Goldstein loud enough for everyone. I brought popcorn but forgot a bowl. Mr. Goldstein doesn't look up. Use your hat. Tate hides a smile and points at the tablet. Show me the times. I tap the timeline. 205, first motion, 211 pry attempt, 27 fence hop. Daniels nods. Matches what we heard on approach. I logged it on non-emergency before stepping out. I say Karen tries again. Contractors were testing. Tate looks at the patches. Ma'am, those are cheap iron-ons. The big vest mutters. We were told it was authorized. By who? Daniels asks. They look at Chad. He looks at the ground. My hands are visible. I am not shouting. I am not protesting my innocence. I am waiting. Sir, can you tell me what happened here? Tate asks, his tone neutral but firm. Yes, officer, I say clearly. 2 men who claim to be with the HOA hopped my fence at 2:17 a.m. They attempted to pry open my gate. They were then joined by that young man there. I have the entire event recorded from multiple angles in high-def night vision. A ripple of silence goes through the small crowd. Karen's face freezes. Chad stops moaning about his elbow. I tap the screen. I show the officers the first clip. It shows the 2 men arriving, testing the fence, trying to pry open the lock. I show them the timestamp in the corner of the screen. I swipe to the next clip. It shows them hopping the fence, trespassing. Then I pull up the access log from the Smart Lock app. I show them the list of failed keypad attempts, the tamper alert. This is the log from the gate lock itself, I explain. It records every interaction. As you can see, there were 14 failed attempts to open it, followed by a physical tamper alert, all before they decided to climb the fence. Officer Tate leans in, his eyes widening slightly. He is a young cop. He understands technology. He sees the power of digital evidence. Finally, I play the last clip, the one from the camera on my deck. It shows me stepping out. It shows the confrontation. It clearly shows the first man grabbing my arm. It shows me pulling away. And it shows, without any ambiguity, Chad initiating the physical contact, shoving me, and then slipping and falling all on his own. The video is silent, which somehow makes it even more damning. There is no sound to distract from the raw physical truth of what happened. Sergeant Daniels watches the whole thing without a word. When it is over, he looks at Chad. His gaze is hard, disappointed. Son, does that look like what you told us happened? Chad stares at the ground, his face pale in the flashing police lights. He says nothing. The sergeant then turns to the 2 men in vests. And you, too, HOA compliance. I have been on this beat for 15 years. I have never seen an HOA that operates like a midnight tactical team. I am going to need to see some identification. The 2 men suddenly look very small. The air of authority has completely evaporated. They are just 2 guys in silly costumes who got caught. To cap it all off, I show Sergeant Daniels the final piece of evidence. The saved screenshots of the direct messages, the meme Chad made to bully my son into giving him the pool code. This was not random, Sergeant, I say quietly. This was a premeditated attempt to intimidate my son and me. It started days ago. Sergeant Daniels nods slowly. He has seen enough. He turns to Officer Tate. Tate, get their information. We're logging criminal trespass and forwarding a false report note to the DA for review. Let the district attorney's office figure it out. He then looks at me. Mr. Thompson, you have a very impressive security system. You stayed calm. You did everything right. He gives me a small professional nod of respect. It feels like a weight has been lifted from my shoulders. Karen Brown is sputtering. trying to protest, but the sergeant just gives her a look that silences her instantly. He is not interested in her drama anymore. He has the facts, he has the data. And in this situation, the data does not lie. The power has shifted. The truth recorded in pixels and timestamps has won. But as the police lights pull away and the neighbors disperse, I know this is not over. Karen Brown does not like to lose. Her son was publicly humiliated. She will not let that stand. Her next attack will not be physical. It will be quieter, more insidious. It will come on paper. The morning sun does little to burn off the chill of the previous night. My quiet cul-de-sac is quiet no more. A storm is brewing, and it is heading directly from my front lawn. By 8 a.m., they start to arrive. A dozen parents, mostly mothers, drawn from their homes by a flurry of texts and emails from Karen. She has been busy. She has spun a narrative, a tale of an aggressive, unstable neighbor, and her innocent son who was brutally attacked. They march across their perfect lawns, a suburban mob armed with lattes and righteous indignation. They gather in a loose cluster on the sidewalk in front of my house. I watch them from my living room window. Their faces are a mixture of anger and concern. Sarah Miles, a young mom from down the street, is with them. She looks more hesitant than the others, her arms crossed, her expression troubled. She has always been reasonable. I see neighbor Joey trying to talk to them, gesticulating wildly, probably recounting his version of the police visit, but they are not listening. They are here for a confrontation. They want to yell. They want to demand answers. I could go out there, I could argue. I could try to explain my side of the story, one person at a time, but that is not efficient. It is not my way. An engineer does not fight a flood with a bucket. He builds a spillway, he redirects the force. I walk into my garage and press the button to open the main door. It rolls up with a low hum, revealing me standing there. I have placed a large 65-inch television on my workbench, facing out toward the street. It is connected to my tablet. The parents fall silent, their attention fixed on me. They are expecting a shouting match. I give them something else. A father steps forward, fists balled. My kid said you threw him. I hit play. The room tone of the morning swallows his words. The shove, the slip, the fall, the loop. Sarah speaks first. That's not a push from Henry. Another mom points. Those men grabbed him. I bring up the meme, gasps. Someone says, that's cruel. The angry father's face falls. I didn't see this. Mr. Goldstein unfolds 2 camp chairs and sets them by the driveway. For apologies, he says. Joey brings a mixing bowl full of dry cereal. Popcorn was a lie, he says. Corn adjacent? A few parents laugh. The knot in my chest loosens. I end the loop and show the door log headings. Time, method, result. No names, I say, just facts. A mom nods. Facts are enough. They start to leave in pairs, softer than they arrived. Several tap my arm. Thank you, sorry, we get it now. Sarah lingers. If the board won't fix this, the school can write a report. We'll help. Thank you, I say. Soon, my lawn is empty again. The mob has dispersed, their anger extinguished by the cold light of video evidence. The spillway worked. The force has been redirected. I feel a sense of relief, but it is temporary. Karen was not in the crowd. She is too clever for that. She sent her army, and her army was defeated. But a good general always has a backup plan. As I am rolling the television back into the garage, my phone buzzes. It is an email. The subject line reads, Official Notice of HOA Violation. I open it. It is from the Oak Creek Estates HOA Management Company, signed by Karen Brown, President. It informs me that I am being fined $500 for an unapproved structural modification to a perimeter fence. The lock. A second email arrives a minute later. Another $500 for unauthorized surveillance equipment visible from community property. The cameras, the blitz has begun. She could not beat me with force, and she could not beat me with lies. So now she is going to try to bleed me dry with paper. The envelopes start arriving like clockwork. One every day, white, official, menacing. Each one contains a new fine, a new violation. My beautiful logical smart lock is now an unapproved electronic access control device. My security cameras are invasive recording instruments. The low-voltage LED lights I installed under the deck railing for safety are suddenly a non-compliant landscape illumination system. Karen Brown is a master of bureaucratic warfare. She is using the HOA bylaws not as a guide for community living, but as a weapon. She twists the language, stretching definitions to their breaking point. Each fine is $500. The letters are formal, filled with legal jargon designed to intimidate. They cite obscure clauses and demand immediate payment to avoid further penalties, including liens on my property. It is a relentless psychological assault, a death by 1,000 paper cuts. I call the HOA management number. Hold Music plays a tin whistle version of Don't Worry, Be Happy. It is not helping. Kelsey Community Services. How may I assist? I need the bylaw section for fines over $250 and the board minutes approving mine. Typing, sir. I don't see a vote for these amounts. Then I need copies of any contract authorizing Suburban Oversight Solutions, LLC, and their W-9. Silence. We don't keep vendor W-9s in this portal. You'll have to email a records request. I'll send it in 1 minute. Please note the date and my call. Neighbor Joey's voice floats over the fence. Ask for page numbers, Kelsey says. Page numbers for what? The rules, I say. Cite the exact ones. More typing. Section 7, paragraph 3 is fencing. Paragraph 4 references aesthetics. But there's no electronic device clause here. Thank you. I say, please add that to the file. Adding now. Also note, police case number pending, non-emergency logged. Yes, sir, logged. I hang up. The hold music keeps playing in my head. I write no board vote, no clause. Vendor docs requested. Most people would be terrified. They would write the check just to make it stop. But I am not most people. This is a system problem. I gather proof. I create a spreadsheet. I log every violation notice, date received, alleged violation, bylaw cited, amount of fine. I print out the entire 100-page HOA rulebook and read it cover to cover, highlighting every relevant passage. I find the clauses she is using. I also find the clauses she is ignoring, the ones about due process, the ones about the board needing to vote on fines over a certain amount. Her process is sloppy. She is moving too fast, fueled by anger and a desire for revenge, and sloppy systems have vulnerabilities. While I am building my defense, Karen makes her next move. She sends out a community-wide email. It is a masterpiece of passive-aggressive corporate communication. She begins by expressing her deep regret over the unfortunate incident at my home. She talks about the importance of safety and security for all residents. She never mentions me by name, only referring to a recent dispute. Then comes the critical lie. She addresses the presence of the 2 men in the black vests. She calls them third-party security contractors. She claims they were hired by the board to conduct a late-night audit of perimeter vulnerabilities as part of a new proactive safety initiative. She makes them sound like official sanctioned agents of the HOA. She is trying to retroactively legitimize their criminal trespass. She is building a false narrative to cover her tracks, and she is using the full weight of her presidential authority to do it. I read the email 3 times. My first reaction is anger. The sheer audacity of the lie is breathtaking. My second reaction is a slow spreading smile. She has made a mistake, a critical error in judgment. In her rush to create a plausible story, she gave them a title, contractors. I say the word out loud in my quiet office, contractors. It hangs in the air, full of possibility. Contractors do not work for free. Contractors submit invoices. Contractors get paid. And if they were hired by the HOA board, as she claims, then there must be a record of that payment. A money trail, a data trail. All I have to do is find it. She thinks that email is her shield. She thinks it closes the book on the 2 thugs in my backyard, but she is wrong. It is not a shield, it is a thread. And I am going to pull on it until her entire carefully constructed story unravels. The paper war she started is about to get a lot more interesting. She has been sending me paper. Now I am going to find my own. My investigation begins not with a computer, but with a conversation. I find Mr. Goldstein weeding the petunias near the community clubhouse. He is a retired accountant who now spends his days battling aphids and crabgrass. He knows everything about this neighborhood. Who is feuding with whom? Which contracts are legitimate? Which ones are suspect? I tell him the story. He listens patiently, wiping sweat from his brow with the back of a dirt-caked glove. When I get to the part about the third-party security contractors, he lets out a short barking laugh. Security contractors, he says, shaking his head. Henry, the only security contract we have is with ADT for the clubhouse alarm, and we have Stan, the 70-year-old guard at the front gate who mostly just waves at people. There is no community patrol. Karen made that up out of thin air. This confirms my suspicion. The company is a phantom, but the payment has to be real. I stop by the front gate. Stan sits in the booth with a crossword and a thermos. Morning, Stan. Morning, Henry. Want 7 down. Fancy fence starts with P. Palisade, I say. I need last week's overnight log. Stan flips a clipboard. After 10 p.m., we only got pizza, Amazon, and 1 white SUV that tailgated a resident. Which resident? He taps a line. Initials KB. She flashed a hand wave like it was a badge. I told her to stop letting cars ride her bumper. Plate partial for ZN. I wrote it. I also told dispatch, any contractors. Stan snorts. Only contractor I saw was my dentist. I left at 11 o'clock. He eyes me. Everything all right? Getting there, I say. Mind if I snap a photo of that line? Make me look professional, he says, straightening his cap. I take the picture and timestamp it and drop it into the evidence folder. On my way out, he calls. Thanks for Palisade. Anytime, I say it fits. Stan calls after me. If they ask, I prefer Sentinel to guard. Sounds taller. My next step is to get inside the machine. I need access to the HOA's financials. There's only one way to do that. I need a whistleblower. I think of the last HOA board meeting. I remember one member, a man named Arthur Fleming. He is a quiet, nervous man who always looks uncomfortable when Karen starts making unilateral declarations. He abstains from most votes. He seems cowed by her, but also unhappy with her leadership. He is my best bet. I find his email in the community directory and send him a simple, non-threatening message. Arthur, I would like to talk to you about some recent HOA expenditures. Can we meet for coffee off the record? He agrees, suggesting a small cafe 5 miles outside of Oak Creek. He is scared. Good scared people are often the most willing to upset the status quo once they feel safe. We meet the next day. Arthur is even more anxious in person. He keeps glancing over his shoulder. He orders a decaf tea and stirs it for 5 minutes straight. I do not like what she is doing, Henry, he says, his voice barely a whisper. She does not consult the board. She just does things. She says she has executive authority. We are all too intimidated to challenge her. She is using our money to hire men to intimidate residents. Arthur, I say directly, she lied in a community-wide email claiming the board approved it. His face pales. I know. We never voted on any new security contract. There was no discussion. I lean forward. I need to see the latest invoices and the bank statements. I think she is hiding the payments. He hesitates. He is weighing the risk of helping me against the risk of letting Karen continue her reign. I can see the internal struggle on his face. Finally, he reaches into his briefcase and slides a thick manila envelope across the table. I make my own copies of everything after each meeting, he says. For my own protection, do not tell her you got this from me. I take the envelope. It feels heavy with consequence. Your name will never come up, I promise. Back in my office, I spread the documents across my desk. It is a pile of invoices, receipts, and bank statements from the last 3 months. I put on my reading glasses and start digging. I scan for security companies, patrol services, anything that sounds like what Karen described. Nothing. For 2 hours. I find only the usual expenses. Landscaping, pool, chemicals, insurance. I start to feel a flicker of doubt. Maybe she was cleverer than I thought. Maybe she paid them in cash. But where would she get the cash? Then I see it. A recurring payment that is not like the others. It is a monthly check made out to an entity I have never heard of. Suburban Oversight Solutions, LLC. The line item description is vague. Community Standards Consulting. The payments are substantial. $5,000 a month. The first payment was made 2 months ago. My heart starts to beat a little faster. This is it. This has to be it. I open a new tab on my browser and go to the state's Corporate Commission website. I type Suburban Oversight Solutions, LLC into the business search field. I hit enter. The result comes back instantly. The LLC is active. It was formed 2.5 months ago. The registered agent, the person legally responsible for the company, is listed. The name is not Karen Brown. It is Karen Miller. Miller. I sit back in my chair. I remember seeing her name on an old community plaque in the clubhouse from before she was married. Miller was her maiden name. She formed a shell company under her maiden name, and has been paying it $5,000 a month out of our HOA dues for consulting. She is not just hiring thugs. She is laundering our money to do it. The invoices in Arthur's packet are from this LLC. They are ridiculously vague with line items like on-site review and compliance verification. One invoice is dated the day after the incident in my backyard. The line item reads Emergency Response Protocol Test. She is not just a bully, she is a fraud. I print out the corporate filing. I print out the invoices. I print out the bank statements showing the checks clearing. I place them all in a neat pile next to the video files and the screenshots on my desktop. The data is now complete. The case is airtight. The only thing left to do is present it. The special HOA meeting is packed. The foyer hums. Programs on a folding table. A picture of lemonade sweating onto a sign that says, Welcome Neighbors. In curling font, Karen spots me and glides over like a parade float. Henry, defamation is a serious thing. Facts aren't defamation, I say. Her smile doesn't touch her eyes. We will see. Mr. Goldstein appears with a neat stack of papers and a giant paper clip. For luck, he says, handing it to me. I used this in '98 to argue about sprinkler fees. It worked. Joey barrels in with a canvas bag, backup HDMI extension cord, and pretzels. He looks at the screen. Bulb okay? I brought a spare. Bulb is fine, I say. Pretzels are better. Good, Joey says. I labeled them Exhibit Carb A. A bored lawyer I've never met whispers to the secretary. The secretary glances at Karen, then at me. He looks pale. Arthur Fleming edges up, voice small. I have copies of the check images. The bank emailed them to me. Good, I say. You'll keep the originals. He nods. Braver. Karen lifts her gavel before we're even seated. Tap, tap, tap. Order the room quiets. I set the laptop, click the remote, and feel the paperclip in my pocket. It's heavier than it looks. Karen Brown is at the head of the long table, flanked by the other board members. She looks confident, regal, completely in her element. She is holding a gavel, tapping it lightly on the table, a queen surveying her court. Arthur Fleming is sitting at the far end, avoiding my gaze, looking like he is about to be sick. My allies are scattered through the audience. Sarah Miles gives me a small, encouraging smile. Mr. Goldstein is in the back row, arms crossed, looking grimly determined. Mrs. Lawson is there too, a silent, steady presence. The meeting starts with boring procedural matters. When my turn finally comes, she introduces me with a dismissive wave of her hand. Mr. Thompson has some thoughts on our new security initiatives. She tries to frame it as if I am just some cranky resident with a complaint. Before I can speak, she launches into a preemptive strike. As you all know from my email, she begins addressing the crowd. The board has taken proactive steps to ensure the safety of our community by engaging professional contractors to audit our security. While one resident has expressed reservations, these measures are for the good of everyone. She is trying to control the narrative to poison the well before I can even draw water from it. I do not engage her. I do not look at her. I walk to the front of the room where a projector and screen are set up. I connect my laptop. I am not here tonight to share my thoughts, I say, my voice calm and clear, filling the suddenly quiet room. I am here to share facts. The first thing I project on the screen is the video. The crisp, undeniable footage of the two men hopping my fence. Then the confrontation on the deck, the grab, the shove from her son, the fall. I let it play twice without commentary. Gasps ripple through the audience. Many of them had only heard rumors or Karen's sanitized version of events. Seeing it is different. Next, I project the screenshots of the text messages from Chad to Marcus. The bullying, the demand for the pool code, the meme. I can hear parents whispering to each other, "That's my son's classmate. He did that to your boy." The foundation of Karen's story is crumbling. These were not contractors performing an audit, I say, turning to face the residents. This was a targeted act of intimidation carried out on behalf of the HOA president's son. Karen stands up. This is out of order. This is a personal vendetta. He's using doctored evidence, but her voice has a new sharp edge of panic in it. The board members are shifting uncomfortably in their seats. I ignore her and click to the next slide. It is the first invoice from Suburban Oversight Solutions, LLC. $5,000 for community standards consulting. I then project the bank statement showing the check from the HOA account clearing. So who's cashing these? I can see Mr. Goldstein nodding slowly in the back row. He understands numbers. He knows what he is looking at. I am sure you are all wondering who these highly paid consultants are. I continue. I was wondering that myself. I click to the final damning slide. It is the corporate filing from the state website. The name of the registered agent is highlighted in yellow. Karen Miller. I read the name out loud. A wave of murmurs sweeps through the room. People are turning to look at Karen. Their faces a mixture of shock and dawning fury. I let the silence hang for a moment, letting the reality of the situation sink in. The HOA president formed a shell company under her maiden name. I say, my voice like a hammer striking an anvil. She has been billing us, the residents, $5,000 a month. And for what? To hire thugs to harass a 14-year-old boy and his father? She used our money to pay for a criminal trespass on my property. The room erupts. People are on their feet shouting. All the frustration, all the resentment from years of her tyrannical rule is boiling over. Karen is white as a sheet. She is banging her gavel, but no one is listening. Her authority has evaporated in the face of cold, hard proof. Arthur Fleming, the nervous board member, finally finds his courage. He stands up. I move, he says, his voice shaking but clear, that we vote to immediately void all fines levied against Henry Thompson. Someone seconds the motion. It passes with a roar of unanimous ayes. I move, Sarah Miles shouts from the audience, that we terminate any and all contracts with Suburban Oversight Solutions. Another roar of approval. I move. Mr. Goldstein calls out, his voice booming from the back, that we launch a full independent forensic audit of all HOA finances during Karen Brown's presidency. The final vote is deafening. It is a complete and total rejection of her. Karen Brown just stands there, gavel in hand, her face a mask of disbelief and ruin. Her reign is over. It did not end with a polite resignation. It ended here in a public inferno of her own making, burned down by the very people she thought she controlled. A month later, the noise is gone. Kids laugh. Water slaps the tiles. The audit is rolling. Karen's shell company was only the start. She's resigned from everything. A temp board runs the HOA. New rule, if it makes your home safer and doesn't invade a neighbor's privacy, it's approved. The ugly rule board is gone. The new sign says, be kind, be safe, have fun. Marcus is here with friends doing cannonballs. Just a kid again. The HOA-funded gate lock beeps. Chad walks in with his dad. No parade, no crowd, just a father who looks tired of fights. He nudges his son forward. Mr. Thompson, Chad mumbles. My dad says I need to apologize. It's thin, but it's something. He's off the swim team for the season and doing community service on weekends. Consequences? I nod. I hear you. His dad gives a small, honest nod back and leads him away. Marcus swims over. Was that Chad? Yes. He apologized. Marcus shrugs. Cool, watch this. He climbs a friend's shoulders and flips. Big splash, big grin, no fear. I lean back and let the sun find my face. This fight wasn't one with rage. It was one with patience, proof, and showing the truth to the people who live here. Sarah waves. Mrs. Lawson smiles under an umbrella. This is community, the real kind. The smart lock on my back gate blinks a steady green. Small light, big promise. All systems nominal. My kids are safe.